So you want to make sure that the accountant um, is going to understand your household and your goals and objectives. So, you don't want them to just take the stuff you hand them and then you get a tax return in your bank account. You have no idea what happened because there are a lot of considerations. And if you pay any attention to the news, you'll know that our taxes change every single year. And I struggle to keep up with it.
Divorce can be emotionally and financially overwhelming. That's why I'm teaming up with Sunny Wishart, president and founder of a la carte Financial and a certified financial planner. We will show you how to understand all things money without feeling ashamed, overwhelmed, embarrassed. You will learn more, ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Welcome to Money with Sunny. Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Money with Sunny. Today we're going to talk to you about income tax, whether you are able to file taxes on your own, so DIY, or whether you may need the assistance of a professional, an accountant, or a bookkeeper. So we're going to highlight some things for you to consider. And Sunny, I'm going to let you take it away because you talk to people about this every single day.
Yeah, we talk about tax quite a bit, but like the basics of it is if your income and expenses are fairly simple, then you can go ahead. I say go ahead and do it on your own. Compared to if you have a little more of a complex situation, I tend to recommend that you engage a professional, not necessarily a bookkeeper, but definitely an accountant who's going to do those annual filings for you and make sure that you're getting all of the benefits you need or carrying forward what you need or looking back and bringing forward because there are a lot of considerations. And if you pay any attention to the news, you'll know that our taxes change every single year. And I struggle to keep up with it. So, and I default to a professional accountant because it is changing annually and there are massive things going on. So you might, if you have a little more of a complex situation, and we can kind of talk about a few of those scenarios compared to something simple, then you can go,
So,
you give
so
her a
something
go.
simple is an income. You have an income and maybe an RSP, maybe a TFSA, and you're clear and understand your financial situation. You can do it yourself. So, how does someone do it themselves?
Just so one thing is particularly an income paid by an employer, because then we can go a whole self-employment stuff, and that's a whole other can of worms. So to do it yourselves, you can purchase one of those kits. I'm sure you see them for sale all the time. I've seen places like Scotiabank and Wealthsimple, they offer that you can buy their online platform and I call it the plug and play. There's the TurboTaxes. Not that I recommend one over the other, just these are the cheapy routes where you're like, well, I get paid by employer, I have an RSP, nothing fancy.
So, so when you say cheapy, does that mean it's going to be a problem for me?
No, no, because you don't have a complex situation. So these softwares are robust enough to handle your situation, to handle your finances. They have lots of neat little prompts in them to say, hey, this or that, depending on what you use. I haven't used them all. I don't know them all, but they are very informative. I find they have lots of neat information in them to make sure that you're putting your numbers in properly and
Okay.
taking advantage of your benefits. Yeah.
So I'm not going to buy one of these kits and then run into trouble later on from the government.
Not unless you're being shady.
Okay, so they walk you through where to put the numbers, how to do it properly, and how to submit your own taxes.
Super user friendly. Yeah.
Super user friendly. Okay, good. All right. And then if things are a little more complicated, maybe you have an investment property or spousal support is coming in, or you own your own business, or just you're just not sure about your financial situation, you might want to hire a professional, hire an accountant. So how does that look and what should people consider when making that choice as to whether they do it on their own or hire a professional?
Yeah, if you're not interested in keeping up on the latest changes in tax in Canada and your finances involve more complex things such as rental units, rental assets, if you have these assets and cost base and capital costs, and then you have rental income minus expenses. And if you're not managing that or you're not interested in keeping up in that, I highly recommend you get a professional to do that. Other things are like if you're a sole proprietor, you run a business, or you have a incorporated business, 100% you need a professional because there are a whole other tax group for incorporated businesses. Or even if you have like a big inheritance or a lump sums come in and you've got it sitting and you have investment income coming in, you have gains, dividends, all interest that you've got to put in. I strongly recommend that you just engage a professional to at least do your annual filings. So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to do your annual tax return because there's things like capital gains carrying forward, capital gains, you know, in the future. And they're going to help with all that and track all that for you. And there's a lot of value in that. And you will get your money's worth out of that if you get a good professional.
Okay. So I'm just transitioning through divorce right now, and I've never really done my taxes. I don't really know what I'm doing. It sounds like my best bet is to reach out and hire a professional, at least talk to an accountant. And, maybe if you have a question about who is a good accountant in Ontario or in Canada, Sunny can help find you one. Where would they go to find a good accountant? And what questions would be important to ask that accountant to make sure that they're getting the right one and that their taxes are going to be filed properly and that they can learn along the way as well?
It's not easy to find a good accountant. That's a conversation I have all the time with my clients is, are you happy with your accountant or why didn't your accountant recommend this? So you want to make sure that the accountant is going to understand your household and your goals and objectives. So, you don't want them to just take the stuff you hand them and then you get a tax return in your bank account. You have no idea what happened. They need to understand, well, if I end up owing, I want to be able to make an RSP contribution in advance of that to not owe anymore. But if they're not having a nice conversation with you, it's just like it's a relationship. You want to feel
So,
like
so
you're
what are
going to
some
have good.
important questions that we should be asking our accountant?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good one. I'm not sure what I would ask them.
maybe we'll put some questions underneath the video here, and we'll come up with some afterwards. We'll have a little conversation and come up with some questions that we can help you with. I mean, I'm kind of thinking. I know when I interviewed for an accountant, I asked them what their experience was with divorce. I asked them what their experience is with helping me to ask questions. Can I ask whatever question I want? How soon will they be responding to me? When I ask a question, I wanted to feel like they were listening to me. I wanted to feel like I was being heard because again, this was this money journey that I was on. So it was important to me to find someone that I jived with too and that I connected with. That was important. Yeah, but maybe we'll come up with a top 5 list of questions that you can use to ask your accountant and that will help you to feel like you're choosing the right one. And then interview 3 people minimum. Just talk to 3 people. And if you're not happy with the accountant that you have right now, it's okay to make change. And
Okay.
if the accountant that you're using right now is going to continue to work with your spouse and that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, then maybe you want to make a change and have someone who's just working with you and only you, and you can work with for the rest of your life and move forward with and grow your finances and grow your wealth. I think that that's really important. Is there anything I've missed, Sunny? Is there anything else that you want to share with people? Is there anything that they need to know when it comes to income tax? Because honestly, if you're not familiar with it, it's like it's freaky. It's a scary thing. It's not easy to read. The forms are long and they're intensive and they're complicated and it's just kind of overwhelming.
Taxes are a lot, which is why I prefer to pay the professionals. But we did kind of miss the bit on there is the the middle ground people where say, like you say, you're going through the divorce process, your capacity to, like, yes, my finances are simple. No, I'm not willing to do the DIY process. You don't necessarily have to go to step B and go to pay an accountant. They're not cheap. So if you are in that fairly simple, you can just, in the meantime, you got tax deadline staring you in the eye. I got to get my taxes done. You can just use the H&R Block people around the corner. They're okay. They're not going to build the relationship, get to know you generally, but they're going to get your taxes filed if they're fairly simple for you and take that load off your mind. So there is that kind of way to just buy you another year, so to speak, because I do
Mm-hmm.
understand when you are in transition, the load is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So just get it filed and then move forward from there, what you want to do next year.
And if you file and make a mistake or you didn't think of something, it's not the end of the world. Everything can be course corrected next year. Like the government's not going to come and take your house or take your stuff and come storming in. It'll be okay. There's grace periods for all of this. Is that right?
And you filed. That's
You filed.
if
So you
you just
filed.
filed your taxes, step one. And yeah, like you said, perhaps if there is a little error, not like they've never seen that before. They happen all the time. So what? Or they hit you up for a review, because sometimes when you take a change on a box, they want to review something. They're like, oh, they had a big change. And it's not an audit. An audit's where they look at everything. They might review, I don't know, a certain expense that you claimed. And then you just send them the receipt and off you go. Okay. And if they say we won't allow it, okay, here's your $15.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think that's a good start. I think your options are do it yourself, hire an accountant, or go to an H&R Block and then just give yourself a break at this time. And then over the next year, like Sunny mentioned, you can think about, all right, maybe I'd like to build a relationship with an accountant and I'm going to start to interview people and I'm going to start to find somebody that I'm comfortable with. And then that can be one other person that is working with you for the rest of your life, or at least for a good long period of time, and you can grow and learn and build your finances together. Yeah. So income tax, yeah, it can seem scary, but hopefully this has helped you out a little bit. And we'll put some questions for you to consider when you're interviewing an accountant underneath the chat today. And it's been great chatting with you today, Sunny. Thanks so much. What are some final words that you want to say to everyone?
File on time.
File on time. There you go. File on time. And we will see you all again next week.